we get into is the fact that both the classes wind up holding and storing the same information, and if you update one, you have to update the other. Wouldn't it be nice if there was one place that you updated and both of those sources were referencing that one thing? That idea is known as like this single source of truth. So you could think of this idea as kind of like your name, right? Sorry, I'm like trying to think of a good one on the spot. It's a lot of pressure. Try like think about your name, right? Who here had like a nickname like in high school? All right, mine was duck sauce, but we won't talk about that. You can ask me about it later. And so in high school, some people called me that. And then at some point, I had another name, right? Like you can have like any name, right? Like I went and did I can't believe it's gonna be on the recording, but I performed a marriage ceremony for some really close friends, so I had to go get ordained. That being said, if you wanted to, please don't. I'm technically like Reverend Evans Wang. Yeah, it's real. Also, man, I have a lot of names. Most of you, actually, almost all of you don't know this, but I'm also like in the Army. Next month, I will hit my 9-year mark. So, yeah. Oh, thank you. Oh my God, wow. And I'm a captain. So technically, I'm also Captain Wang, and I also teach at university, so I'm also a professor. So based on where I am, people call me different things. Here, you can call me your boy. Evans is totally fine. Or like Mr. I also taught high school. And do you remember in high school where your teacher's name, it didn't really matter what their last name was? Like if my name is Evans, my name is Evans. They would call you like, oh, Mr. Evans. You're like, that's not technically correct. It's Mr. Wang, but sure, what's up? And so the idea is that like where you are, you could be called by a different name. That's sort of a problem in regards to like your identity. If there was one single place that everyone checked that was like, this is your name. So if you changed it, everyone kind of knew. So back to the analogy, right? In high school, somebody took records with a pencil, right? Do you remember, like, who here went to high school in New York City? Wow, that's very little. Did you fill out in every single one of your high school classes like an individual little card that was like your name, and then you turned it in so that teacher marked you present on that card? Is that not what happened? Okay, this analogy is falling apart very quickly. But let's play this game, right? Imagine every single class you went to in high school or in college, you had to give the professor, the teacher, the instructor your name on a piece of paper. Like, hey, my name's Evans, but maybe my next class, like Spanish class, I want to be silly. You can just call me like Jefe, right, which stands for boss. And then you like turn it in. The idea is that what if all of them, instead of individually getting, right, like a name, they pulled it from a database. So like every morning they would print out a sheet that had everyone's name on it and they marked the attendance on it. And then the next day they would go to the database or like the screen, they would print it out and they'd mark the attendance. If you simply changed your name in the database, every single teacher, when they print out the attendance sheet, would have your new updated name. You're not storing that information in separate places. So there becomes a single source of truth for what your name is. Hopefully I saved that analogy because it was falling apart real bad. Is that starting to make a little bit of sense? Okay, cool. So we're gonna figure out how we can kind of do that with code. And then like that's the problem we're trying to solve, where we're not storing data individually in different classes. We have one place where all the information is. And we're gonna look at some examples. So, demonstrate single source of truth, and we're not storing collections of objects in other objects. Yesterday we talked about that one-to-many, and then today, as I alluded to yesterday, we're gonna talk about that next level of relationships, the many-to-many. So, in the one-to-many, we had that book and author class, and that was simply class book and then class author. And in the author class, right, what I mean by relationship is the author class had a method on it an instance method that allowed it to write a book. So in the author class, an instance of author can essentially instantiate an instance of another class, which is the instance of book, by simply invoking a method write book. The author instance calls write book, and it creates an instance of book. So there is a relationship between author and book sort of established there. And then we kind of talked about book has a method of all, and then author has a class method of all. If I needed to see, as an author, all of the books that I wrote, I would have to look through all of the books and then select the ones where I am the author. And so again, that's sort of how that relationship is working. Cool. That's where we were yesterday. Now, let's look at some examples of many-to-many. I think some of you absolutely love this. You don't like this at all. This one's actually kind of tricky, right? This project has many backers. Backers have many projects, and then you had both of them storing these arrays, and you had potentially this infinite loop cycle problem. Now, there are other many-to-many relationships out there, right? We have parents can have many children, and children can have many parents, like grandparents, step-parents, like just outside the sort of biological domain that we know. What about city bikes? Like one particular city bike can have many riders, right? And then me as a rider, I don't really own a particular bike. I can ride any one of the bikes that are sort of available on the rack, right? And each different day, technically I'm riding a different bike if I didn't like mark it for whatever reason, which is illegal. Cool. Does anyone have an example of a many-to-many for yourself or for this class, and we can build that?
Doctors and patients.
Okay, doctors and patients. Very good, unique idea. Doctors and patients, yeah, that's a good one. It's a definitely many-to-many relationship. Is there any other ones? Otherwise, I'm gonna build that one. Or what? Stand-ups and audiences. Okay. What's the relationship between stand-up and audience? Stand-ups have many. Okay.
Comedians can have many people, different audiences, they do different shows, and that way you can see different comedians.
Okay. So viewer and show. Okay. But like specific to like the comedy domain, right? Okay, cool. So we could do viewer and show. We could do doctors and patients. What was it?
Clowns and frightened children.
Clowns and frightened children. Yeah, that's always a classic. I mean, I like the diarrhea idea that I talked about yesterday, but whatever. Yes, right? So what's the relationship between this clown and frightened child?
Clown can frighten many children,
They sure can.
and a child can be frightened by many different.
Wow. That sounds like also potentially therapy. Cool, so that one's actually pretty fun. We could do that one. Are we settled on that one? So doctors and patients? Oh wow, you've even turned. Okay. Viewers and shows? Okay, even you turned. Wow, okay, so I'm assuming then clowns and, okay, all right, and frightened children. All right, this is a first for me. We're gonna enter uncharted territory. I obviously had an idea of what I wanted to build, but we don't have to discuss that. So let's talk a little bit about some of the tools that are available to us. Yeah, you like that? Okay. So also, by the way, I'm a starving artist. It's one of my other jobs. And what we'll do is we will do that domain modeling that I kind of talked about yesterday. And so here we have this table, right? I'm just going to draw this sort of square. And this will be a giant C for clown. Are you okay? They're probably fine. And here we will have SC for super cool kid, right? Super cool child, scared child, whatever you want to call it, right? And here we've established this relationship. In terms of like the clown, we draw this line in relationship to the scared children. I'm going to get in trouble for this, but it's fine. Risk it, brisket. And I'm just going to draw a bunch of these lines, right? The idea is that an instance of clown can scare many different instances of scared children. I know. I'm over here talking about, like, you're going to go home and talk about orange trees, but now you're going to go home. And so you have clown and scary child. So one to many in this direction. And the relationship between scared children and clowns, we've also established going this way, will be a many relationship, right? I'm just going to draw these tendrils. So sort of like a mini. Now, in order to kind of bridge this gap, right? Let's say I have 3 clowns, right? I have clown number 1, 2, and 3. And I have child number 4, 5, and 6. That's just for ease of use and clarity. This one particular clown, right now it looks like an eye. This is just scary. Or a Mario coin, right? We could think that turned that around. Scared 2 children, right? 4 and 5. And then clown number 2 is just like a clown in training, scared 0 people. And then clown number 3 is only scared child 6 and also, coincidentally, 5. 5 is just easy scare, you know? How do the children and the clowns sort of know each other?
Party.
Oh, okay. I don't know if I would call that a party, right? But like, what sort of is happening in between? Like, for example, clown 2 knows none of these children, right? And clown 1 only knows child 4 and 5. This person, this clown 1, has no relationship to child number 6. So what is happening sort of in between here? Huh? They have some sort of interaction, right? That's the only way they really know each other. Now let's try to solidify it with a more real world example. All right, so I'm just gonna zoom out again. And we're gonna do the exact same thing. And that is here, boop, 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 right? I'm gonna use patients and I'm gonna use doctor, right? We talked about the patient can have many doctors, and a doctor can have many patients. And in that exact same sort of vein, right? Exact same sort of idea. Do I know, or you as a patient, know every single doctor that possibly ever existed ever? No. You only know maybe a handful of doctors, and hopefully you know 1 or 0. Right? Not that doctors are bad, but they're very expensive. You know what I'm saying? Maybe your friend's a doctor. Maybe you know a lot of doctors. I don't know. I sort of lost that. Sorry. Let me just close out of this. This is a tough subject to teach, you know. So patients and doctors, right? How do they know each other? If you want to see your doctor, you need to make a what? An appointment. So I'm just going to leave that here. I'm going to just put A for appointment. And I'm just going to make this sort of like its own thing. Now, the patient really only knows the doctor through the appointment. So I'm going to leave this appointment in here. What is the relationship between this patient and the appointment? If I were to draw a line here, does a patient have 1 or have many appointments? All right. So the idea is that they can have potentially more than 1. But what is the relationship between each one of these appointments to the patient? 1, right? You can't have an appointment that belongs to like many patients, right? It's sort of like one patient-doctor confidentiality. You're like in a room one-on-one. And so each appointment sort of belongs to a person, so to speak. All right, so interesting that I have like just this line like this. And let's talk about that same relationship between the doctor and the appointment. Notice what I'm doing right now. All of this is the domain modeling that we've talked about. Like what is sort of like the problem I'm trying to solve? How am I establishing the relationships between all the models? And this right here, ultimately, when I look at it, will be my domain. And that is many to many between patients and doctors, 1 to many between patients and appointments, and then appointments to patient is sort of like a belongs to relationship. So let's finish this, right? What is the relationship between doctor and appointment? Doctor going this way to appointment. Doctor has 1, belongs to, or has many appointments. So I'm just going to draw these spider webs out again. And then in the inverse way, appointment to a doctor is what? like it has, like each one of these patients, I'm sorry, each one of these appointments, I would say, belongs to the doctor, right? Okay, now let's go back into this. Whoa, let's go back into this. In terms of clowns and scared children, right? There has to be some sort of interaction that joins them, right? They only know each other through this interaction in the same way that the patient and doctor only know each other through what is like that join of appointment. So I'm going to draw it right here, bloop, bloop, bloop. And we can have, what I guess, interaction.
Obviously, it's nightmare.
Nightmare? Okay. So NV, nightmare visit. Wow, this got super dark. I'm just going to start talking lower because Brandon can hear me. So, clown and nightmare visit. What is the relationship here?
A clown has a lot of nightmares, but one nightmare has one clown.
Not always, but let's just kind of like take it right. Like let's just kind of like take it into context here, right? Each one of these clowns can have a lot of these nightmare visits, right? They can be in a lot of these sort of nightmares. But each one of those nightmares, right? If I just mentioned I was a lot of things, but let's just play pretend. I'm also the scary clown, which some of you might think of me as, and that's okay. And I scare Dana, right? That sort of scare, that interaction, that one nightmare visit, that, like I owned it. That was me. I had that. And so in the opposite way, this nightmare visit really belongs to this clown. If we map this out this way, right? What about the scared child? Scared child has many, has one, belongs to, owns this nightmare visit. Has many, right? Okay. Okay. All right. Obviously, these lines are getting more and more stable. What about this nightmare visit specific to this child? It belongs to. So if you look closely, those relationships, they look at the same, right? And so whenever I have a many-to-many, I must have what is known as this sort of join table. This join table connects the many-to-many. Otherwise, by definition, every single one of them will have to know every single one of the other. And we both know that that's not really true, right? So in a many-to-many, you need this join. And that join will have a has many belongs to, and then another has many belongs to. So another super cool way to think about it is if this is a many-to-many, this must be a many, and then this must be a many. So that's kind of like the many-to-many actually happening. All right. I just been talking for a long time about clowns and nightmares and relationships, which I never thought I'd say in my lecture. Are there any questions in terms of like why we need this join table? Yeah. You're very close, but the line that you're thinking is sort of correct, right? Let's start thinking through like in terms of like the code, right? I have to make an instance of clown. I want to see how many nightmare visits they've had. That should come back as what? An array, right? Like there could be 0 in there, right? An array could be empty. Or there could be 1 or like 1,000, right? Like the person's really busy. In terms of the nightmare visit, if I'm like, in each instance of nightmare visit, I'm gonna be like, all right, who was the clown that did the scaring? That should be like one clown that did it in this like scenario. Cool. Is that helpful? Okay. Wow, what a life, yeah. Yes.
Also, in that particular nightmare, also means that clown is scared the child, that particular child. Like that
Yes.
particular clown is scared the particular child.
Yes. Yes. Okay. So we're moving ahead, but to answer your question, right? Now let's think through about this join table, right? If I'm talking about an instance of Nightmare Visit, right, and we've established sort of this relationship, right? In the Nightmare Visit, if I'm building out this model, I'm building out the class, and I'm building out the attributes of it, right? The Nightmare Visit must have at least bare minimum what two things to exist. Right. So that's why this join table exists. So if I'm talking about a Nightmare Visit, I have to at least know who did the scaring and who was scared. So we're going to build that out right now. Yeah? Oop. Can't believe. All right, let's just add it to the list. So when I teach it next time, they can make fun of me. Clowns and scared children. Oh yeah. Embarrassing. What else is there? There was like, oh my God, you're right. There's a cloud. Perfect. Perfect. We will let this README live in infamy, and I will push this code up for all of the internet to see. This is going to be great. So we obviously don't need any of this, but we can leave it alone. What files do I need? Clowns.rb, right? Cool. And we also need a scared child or child or children, childs, childy. Is it child or children for the model? All right, well, let's think about it. Ready? How do I make a brand new instance of the class? Do I do to make a brand new one scaredchildren.new or scaredchild.new? Right, so the model and the class should be singular. Does that make sense? Oh, did I put clowns? Oh, that was a typo. Yeah, it should be clown.rb. That's entirely my fault. Sorry. And thank you for catching that. Let me rename this file real quick. Bloop, bloop, bloop. Done. All right. And then lastly, we need what other one? I hope there's no like keylogger in my computer, because they're like, what is this guy doing? Attaboy. Clown, right? We just do a little class clown action. You have no idea how long I've been waiting this entire time to say that. Yes, yes, yes. Scared child. Okay. Is it like this? Okay. Okay. Are there any questions as to why this is camel case? All right, the answer is just Ruby convention, in case you were maybe like just didn't want to ask. Right, let's do this. So I have clown, and let's build out the clown. Actually, let's think. Of clown, scared child, and nightmare visit, right? Which one of these three should I definitely not start with? Nightmare visit, right? Because the other two have to exist, right, before nightmare visit can even come to fruition. So I'm just going to start with clown, and then I'm going to move to scared child. You can do scared child or clown, but sort of those two order is irrelevant to like build out. So let's do this. Boop, boop, boop. Wow, bless up. What are the attributes of clown? Clown should have a name, right? Cool. Anything else? Okay. I did not. I don't know if you know this about me, but I'm what you describe as a coward. Yeah. Any other attributes of clown? Hair color.
Shoe size, but it's always large.
We can do that, right? Shoe size, right? And so remember, there's a couple ways we could do it. We can either set a default attribute this way, or if it's 100% always going to be this, no matter what we do, right? What do we talk about doing here? Large. the string. Right? No matter what we kind of put in here, it'll just default to large. Cool. All right, so that was fun.
Wait, so then do we read it in the top?
Bingo bango, right? Do. Cool. All right, let's talk about these scared kids. Wow, I feel like I'm gonna get in trouble any day now. All right, boop, 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 boop. All right, does everyone have any questions as to like indentation? Like how is it done? What's like the rule of thumb, or do we all feel like I got it? Okay, so you have a question? How do I do the what? Oh, yeah. If you highlight something and you just press tab, it does them all. Ooh, spicy. Shift tab will bring them back one. Yeah.
So sometimes when I'm doing like if statements, that else, if I like do an else if or an else, so
Mhm.
like indent under the work that you want it to do. So like if blank, yeah. So if condition, and then you do whatever,
Okay.
and then you do else if.
You mean why did it just move back like that?
Yeah, whatever. It didn't. No. Usually it doesn't do that. Like I usually the else will be lined up with the logic.
You mean like this?
Yes.
Okay, that is technically incorrect. It should be this way. And the idea is that if, else, and end are part of one sort of
Right.
program. Yeah.
So if it's automatically putting else under the logic, then you should back it.
Yeah. So if I do that again, if, right, and then I can do even here, like I type else, it moved it for me.
I think the reason why it's not being great sometimes, like this is happens on my machine as well, is if you don't complete the if statement first, like you don't have the end, there's sometimes
Oh, yeah.
things at the end.
Yeah, that's correct. If you do if, and then you don't finish the end, whoa. Damn, that's smart. Oh, you're right. It's reading the bottom end. Let me just try it this way. If, okay, else.
We both want.
Adam, so smart. VS Code, I think, is like really good too. I don't know what that does, but I'm sure it does something. Let's get back to the scared child, yeah?
Is there a preference for like number of spaces or not like it's a Silicon Valley thing, like
Tabs or spaces. Let me pause the recording. Let's continue. Attributes of this child. We want to identify these kids? All right, sure. ID number, sure. Any other attribute? Ooh, all right, wow. I feel like this is getting really dicey. But you know what? It's fine. It's fine. I'm getting fired anyway. What? So, cool. I think we're done with these two classes. Let's think now. We have to build out that join table. I'm not getting fired, so just so you know. Oh, man, I am feeling it, Mr. Krabs. Cool. Nightmare. Mare. Is it? I'm just gonna take the occasional nod as like you doing it right. Any thoughts as to what the attributes are? Duration. Okay, duration certainly I think is important, but it needs to have minimum what two things? The kid and the clown, right? Kid and the clown. So here I'm just gonna put scared child, and then here I'm gonna put clown. Now, are there any sort of additional attributes to this visit? I guess not really, right? Your question.
I was gonna say, don't you need to require the two other files at the top?
We will get to that, but thank you for that. So sometimes in the join table, right, you get what is known as like a very sexy name that makes sense. Sometimes you get nightmare visit. Sometimes you get appointment. And inside the join table, It needs to minimum have at least the 2 models you're joining, but also occasionally it will have additional attributes. So Nightmare Visit doesn't really seem like it has that many additional attributes. However, when it comes to appointment, what attribute do you think should be there besides patient and doctor? Time, right? Because time doesn't make sense as an attribute for patient, and time doesn't make sense as an attribute for doctor. So occasionally the join table will have additional attributes. The other thing that I want to talk about is if you have something, it could. Yeah. Well, I was only scared between 9:01 and then 9:47. After that, wow. The idea is that sometimes you have a many-to-many where the join table kind of like, it doesn't really make sense. There's no real name for it, right? So let's think of one. Okay, let's think of one right now, right? We have like a recipe and we have ingredient. So a recipe can have many ingredients, and each one of these ingredients can belong to many recipes. What would the join table be? I'm getting lazy here. What would the join table be? Is it the cookbook? Is it the dish? Sometimes the name doesn't really work, right? You can't name it in a way that makes a lot of sense. When that happens, you just combine the 2 models. So this would be the recipe ingredients table. Yeah. So anytime that weird issue kind of comes up, you just smash them together. And you're like, great, I have recipe, I have ingredients, and I have recipe ingredients. Cool. Which then when you think about it, you're like, oh, okay, all right. That's not too bad. That makes a little bit of sense. And so I just want to try to catch some of the edge cases as you're building out your own models and projects. Yeah. All right. Do you guys want a break, or are we cool to kind of power through, just break those walls? You guys want? No? 21 Jump Street? That was, all right, just, my name is Jeff. Break, power through. Okay, I'll just, that's right. So, we've made the classes, right? Let's actually create some instances, and then we'll build out some deliverables together. In the same way that we had book and author, exactly what name Ryan was referring to. Yeah, just, I think names are better than like, I don't want to say you because even that seems very aggressive. So that's why I've just been like nodding my head. But yeah, Ryan, it says that we should probably require the files here. You can do that. The idea behind that is that I want to pull in all the code so that it makes sense. I can write them all. But what makes the Nightmare Visit sort of special as a model more important than the other 2 models that I have, that this should be the one to require it? Are there any sort of special characteristics of here that this class, this file, should be the one that actually does the requiring? It is the join table, right? But remember the separation of concerns, the single responsibility principle. The class should just worry about the class. And in so doing, nothing is stopping me. It costs me exactly $0 to do what is known as like the combo file, right? I'm going to combine all of them in a separate file so the classes can be the classes. I'm just going to call this run.rb because that is like a very common theme. I have, in fact, called it other things before, like combo file, because that's kind of what it's doing. But I'll just leave it as run.rb. Here, everything is at the same level. So when I do my require relative, do I need to traverse the folder structure in any way? No. I can just go boop, boop. In the current directory, there is a clown file. There's also a Nightmare Visit. What the? Oh, it's pulling from the. Boop. And then there's also a Spirit Child. Awesome. Cool. Now we can actually start writing some code. In terms of the clown, let's make one. Anyone have a clown that we want to make? OSHA? OSHA?
Bozo the clown.
Bo-
Never heard of Bozo the clown?
I have heard of Bozo the Clown, actually. Yeah. Boop. So we have Bozo, and how many teeth does Bozo have?
Regular.
0.
3, the regular 3. Like, oh my God, why did I think of that? All clowns, 3 teeth. That's just a easy association. So I'm just gonna call it Clown 1. All right. What I want to show you is finally we're gonna get to mass assignment. It is a hard concept to kind of wrap your head around initially. So once I finish explaining it, we'll then take a break, and then we'll come back and finish these relationships. So, boop, boop, boop. Oh, wow. Hello, friend. Good to see you. Bloop, bloop. Needs to require pride. That highlighting should... Highlighting was weird for a second. Yes?
Does it also always say the rules for that?
No, I mean, if I double quoted it, it would have made no difference. Did it make a difference? Oh, all right. You were laughing because you were like, did it though? But yeah, all right. So now I want to run this file, right? Ruby run.rb. Cool. So I have clown 1, and it's Bozo the Clown. All right. In here, let's talk a little bit about how hashes work. And so I have H for hash because, again, I'm very lazy. If I had something like, I don't know, a key of name that pointed to something like Doink the Clown. Okay, nobody?
The wrestler?
Thank you. I watched wrestling when I was younger, so
Oh, nice.
yeah.
Do you have a buddy?
He did have a buddy. I don't know. Shoe size. Shoe size is large. It's teeth. You're right. Obviously. Sorry. Does anyone know how many teeth we normally have in IRL? 50? Can you open your mouth for a second? I just gotta. All right.
32.
Wow. 52? Chomp chomp. Yes. Hello, Guinness Book of World Records. Wow. This got out of control. But all right, so back to hashes, right? If I want to access any one of these keys, right, can I do H sort of name here? Right? And if I wanted to get the age, I would do, okay, sorry. Naturally, that came up nil, which makes sense, right? 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 And teeth.
To know how old it
Is that how it works, though? Because we have a very scary clown who apparently is 3 years old. So we have like a hash, right? We also have how to make a clown. What I really want to do is sort of pass in this entire hash in ways that I can basically create the clown. So let's take this example. Boop. And I'm going to put it right here. Oh yeah, saw that extra room? Luxury. And I'm going to comment this out. Could I do something like instead of name and teeth, I had the clown attributes. And this, for whatever reason, was a hash. So let me just rename this to clown attributes. If I created a brand new clown and I passed in a hash, what would happen here? It should break. It should break, right? It's like, hey, you're giving me a hash, but I'm looking for actually probably like 2 arguments or something. I need something with a name, and I need something with teeth. But how do I access the name key inside the clown attributes hash? How can I do that? How can I get doink from clown attributes?
Square brackets, name.
Yeah. This gives me access to the name. So I'm just going to go ooh, that was kind of nice. What is the return value of clown attributes if this is a hash? This whole thing is a hash. What is the name now on line 6? Should be doink, right? If I did something like this, boop, 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 clown.new, and I pass in a hash. What's happening is, remember, clown attributes, I'm passing in one hash object. If I create it, what will line 6 be for name? If I'm pulling from this hash and I'm asking for the name key, it's going to be doing. I can do the same for teeth by doing this. Ooh, spicy, spicy. So let me get rid of this as well. And so now, will this work? Why or why not? Who says it will work? Who says it won't work? Who says I'm trying to trick you? Yes, I'm not trying to trick you, although it is a bit tricky. Remember, when I pass in a hash, right? I pass in the hash. It's going to pull the hash, specifically the key, which will just evaluate into doink here. And then when this evaluates, it's going to be 32. So what's sort of the difference between all of these now? Nothing. What is useful is I can now do something like name is Dana, and she has 52. All right. Unfortunately for Gabby.
I have a lot less.
Oh, okay. I was gonna give you more, but
Oh, okay.
that's fine. 6 on the top, 1 on the bottom. Then 1 you just carry with you. You know? So the idea is that if I pass in this hash and I'm always pulling, oh, sorry, I didn't remove the string there. I have to walk all the way back to my computer. I gotta walk all the way back. So now, if I pass in a hash, it's always gonna pull in the name, the teeth, from the hash. Who feels like that was very confusing and I still don't understand? Who feels like, yeah, no, that made sense, I'm cool. All right. Yeah?
Go ahead.
I'm Amy.
Hi, Amy.
What's the benefit of doing
That's a very good question I'm gonna get to right now. And that is, remember, if I'm pulling keys and values from a hash, does the order matter? So if I did something like this, will the key of teeth still get pulled properly here? Yes, so now we've gotten past that problem that order matters. If I just pass in the hash and the keys match to all my attributes, I'm good to go. It doesn't really matter because I'm just pulling specific keys from the hash. So that's like one of the main benefits. Yeah.
I'm just confused because I'm wondering where you say that clown, how does it know that what's being passed in is a hash?
Oh, you know what? Let's do this. And let's do a, okay. Is this gonna work? No, you need to require pry. Yeah. Let's pull in pry. And all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bang out of here, and I'm gonna run just the clown file in isolation. So Ruby, bunch of clowns. No? All right. Cool. So I have the clown object, right? And if, let me do this. Well, it stopped right here, so I haven't made any yet, right?
Initialize, put a binding.
Oh, well, I put a binding here so I can stop it, and then now when I create a new one, it should call initialize to pause. So I put 2 on purpose because I haven't tried to create one yet. Yeah. So if I do clown.new, and I pass in a hash object that said, let's just put teeth first for funsies. Teeth points to 100, and then name points to some other clown names that are pretty obviously Ronald. I mean, that's how he eats all his burgers, right? The 100. If I hit this, I'm gonna hit the initialize method, right? So far, so good. So the first thing I always want to check is, what did I pass in? Clown attributes. What is that? Well, it's this hash, which totally makes sense, right? Like the new and the initialized line up. Yeah? Okay.
So
Let's take it one step back. What's up?
just for the sake of seeing it fail, you do clown.new 100 comma Ronald.
That's exactly what I was gonna do. Yeah. So let's take it back. Ready? Okay, you could see that it successfully did it, which is embarrassing. But clown.new, if I put 100 and I put Ronald, McDonald, wrong number of arguments given to expected 1. Why would it only expect 1 argument?
Because it's meant to just a hash.
Right. So let's actually sort of put something in here. Okay. Right. Let's just so some placeholder so that it doesn't break the code, but we can move on and we can kind of see what's happening. Actually, let's do this. Just put okay. Sure. What I'm going to do is max out of here, max out of here, max out of here, max out of here. Do you know why I did that 3 times? Because when I hit exit, it hit these. Yeah? All right. So if I start this file again, I'm in the binding pry. All right, it hasn't hit any of those new ones. I put clown.new and I put in 100 and I put in my good friend Charles Entertainment Cheese. What a good friend. Now it doesn't break because I told it you're about to get 2 arguments. Right? So what is clown attribute? It's going to be the number 100, right? It's what I passed in. So clown attributes is 100. And OK is Charles Entertainment Cheese. What normally happens is @name becomes clown attributes. We normally do something like this. We normally do something like this, and then we do something like this, right? That's how we've normally been doing it. I'm using like abstractions here because like you can kind of start to map the pattern. So if that's normally what we do, then this is like kind of not going to work because it's saying clown attributes at a key of name. Clown attributes right now is 100. So there's no key of name in here. So let's kind of go back. Let's go back one step. And that is give it 1 argument. And let's run it again. If I do clown.new and I pass in 1 argument, it's a hash, and I put in T for yes, and I put in name for I think it's like Hamburglar. It's like actually like one of Ronald's good colleagues, also a clown. Let's see what happens. Well, what are clown attributes now? Just so we're all on the same page. It's that hash, that single hash object, right? If I wanted to do name equals to, I want to get to the key of name inside the clown attributes. So clown attributes at a key of name. So now at name is going to be the hamburger. And that's all I'm doing here. And so I've kind of removed the order because a hash is always going to pull the keys out appropriately. This is like kind of like a bit to wrap your head around, but that's basically the general concept. So this is known as mass assignment. If you ever hear me say mass assignment, this is what it is. It makes it so that you pass in one object, right, like one thing, instead of like 3 things, comma separate values. You pass in one hash with the appropriate keys, and so that you can remove the idea of order mattering. You can also now set the default attributes. Right? There's like, it doesn't really matter the order anymore, so there's ways to kind of set default attributes in other ways. Cool?
The only question I had was that usually when we're initializing something, we're setting like clown 1 is equal to clown 2, and then we're passing it in like something simple like a string, like a name or something.
Yeah, you're passing in like a name like yes, and the amount of teeth like a lot, whatever, right?
Yeah. But so like I'm just trying to figure out like the functionality, like when would you be passing like an entire hash into?
We will be passing entire hashes in basically from now on. I think the more you see it, it'll start to make more sense. So what I want to do is get out of this and start doing more of this. Cool. You'll start to see why this becomes really useful and powerful actually next week. Yeah. But the one thing that's useful right now is sort of removing that order. Yeah. All right. Cool, 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 cool. I'm gonna leave this in case anyone wants to see it. But let us take a quick commercial break, and then we will jump right back into many-to-many. Yeah? All right. Okay, so we are back. And what we want to do, right, after we've kind of like understood a little bit this mass assignment, we can now refactor some of the other code to also take mass assignment. And that is, instead of clown attributes, I mean, honestly, you could probably just do attributes, right? It doesn't have to be too generic, or it can be generic because it's just going to pull from that hash. So in the same way that we have this, we can put in attributes, right? And this is going to be the attributes of a scared child, and then attributes of a clown. The last one we have is, I can get rid of this. God bless you. And this one, right? If you really want to, sometimes these attributes are basically arguments. So I think in the labs you'll see them as args, which are the arguments, and it's irrelevant what this namespace is. So you'll see something like args at a key of name. Did I move too fast? Sometimes when I'm like, I feel like I'm zooming through with the keyboard shortcuts. Follow along? A-okay. All right. So we want to establish sort of these relationships in the same way that we established this book and author, this one-to-many. But now the many-to-many becomes a little bit more complicated. And let's just meet some simple deliverables. And the first thing I want to do is,
Sorry. For scared child, args, does that stand for both clown and? Oh, never mind. Sorry, I thought you were like.
just that way that sounded. Scared child, oh, sorry, you're in nightmare. I'm like, just out of context, that is hilarious. So we want to start establishing some of these deliverables, right? And in terms of clowns, before I kind of test anything, it makes sense to build what is known as like this test data. The test data we can start calling seed data. So inside my run file, what I want to do is build a bunch of instances of clown, maybe nightmare visit, and scared children, so that as I'm building out all my deliverables, I have a decent amount of testing data that makes sense. So we can just refactor this. Boop. And then this would just be key of name. And then teeth. Ooh, spicy. All right, we have 2, 3, 4, 5. Does anyone want to be or know any more clowns? Huh? Oh, Pennywise. We'll just call him Penny. Penny has all the teeth, all 53 of them that we talked about. Anyone else? Hey, kids. I think he has like all the teeth, just normal teeth. We did Ronald and Ronald, right? And then we will just do it, which is also Penny. And here we'll do 13, and just for fun, 31. Palindrome. So, wait, that wasn't actually, but it's fine. Can I make a nightmare visit right now? No, because it needs both a clown and a scared child. So SC1, scared child dot new doo doo. And what are the attributes of this scared child? Name and age. Wow, great. Name, age, great. Who like are scared kids? Millhouse, right? I don't know. He's like 6. I don't know how old he is. Does anyone have any other? This is actually kind of dicey, right? Like John Smith. Let's keep this generic. John Sparrow.
Jon Snow.
Bet he knows nothing. So
Have Shaggy.
Shaggy. Shaggy is just more than a scared kid. That dude's like, that dude is up there.
He's somebody's guy.
He is. Anything else? Just one more. Bart? Wow, we were really going that Simpsons theme. He's also probably, he's a little older than Milhouse, I think. I don't really know. Cool. So now we need, what? We need actually the nightmare visit. So, nightmare visit, right? So N1. I'm super lazy, by the way. You should probably name these appropriately, but it's sort of irrelevant. Okay, that wasn't a good motivator to like name things. But cool. All right, and so it needs 2 attributes, right? We have the scared child, and then we also have the clown. Now, remember, we want to get out of that string land and into object land. So that exactly being said, should I put in this right here? What should go here? All right, any random scared child. All right, so let's just start with 1. And who scared Milhouse? Oh, Krusty. Oh my God. Wow, that worked out so well. It's good to have a theme. Boop, 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 boop. 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, yeah, very good. So, all right, cool. Let's just say Milhouse is just really scared, right? Clown 2, Clown 3. And then we have Scared Child 2, and Scared Child 3, and then 3 again. So who scares SC2 is Jon Snow. Actually, no one scares Jon Snow. Let's do that. And then that'll be Clown 1. Who's been really busy? Penny? Penny's been pretty busy. Cool. All right. So just some like random seed test data. Cool.
Does it matter that you have 2 SC1s and Clown 3s? So like Nightmare 1 and Nightmare 3 are basically the same.
Oh wait, which one? Oh, you're right. Let's go with Clown 5. Oh, it. Smart. Any other like boo boos I made? probably we'll find out, right? Let's test. If I run Ruby run, okay, Ruby run, okay, Ruby run dot RB, smart. It looks like they all pass, right? How can I see all my nightmares and all of my scared kids and all of my clowns? Can I do clown.all? Well, I didn't build that method, so let me build that real quick. Oh my goodness. Oh my God. How do I do it? Right. It's all the clowns should be the responsibility of the class. So I'm going to use a class variable. And then every single time I make a new one, I'm going to push it into that all array. And then in order to have access to it, I need to build that class method. So def self.all. Oop, it's just going to give me this. And just for funsies, I'm going to give it to everyone. Boop. Yeah.
Why is it that you can't put class variables into adder accessors? Like, why can't you, like, why do you have to build that method instead of just having it made for you?
So the question is, why do I actually have to build the class method, and why can't I use one of those powerful syntactical sugar adder reader, adder writer, adder accessor, right? Remember what these build for you. Oh my God, I forgot to actually build them. That's embarrassing. Name. What does this build for you? Right. So unfortunately, the shorthand only builds it for the instance.
So I guess my question is, like, why didn't they bother to make a shorthand for
Class variables are not nearly used as often as instance methods. Yeah.
So it's like,
Yeah. That's actually exactly right. Yeah. Man, I should have done this on the break. All right. So name can't really change. Age can't really change. So we'll just leave those alone. Nightmare visit. What about scared child? Oh yeah, those are both readers, right? Scared child, and then clown. Finally, for clown. Yeah, all of them, just straight readers, huh? Name, teeth, shoe size. All right, let's go. Let's test. Boom, 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 boom. Cool, that makes sense to me. Scared child. And then finally, nightmare visit. You guys run into this issue before where it's kind of like, oh no, I don't know what to do. I'm stuck here.
Yeah.
Okay, if you hit spacebar, it will just do a full thing. If I keep going down, it goes line for line. If it's spacebar, it's going to go the next page, the next page, the next page. If you don't want to see all of them, there's nothing you're looking for in particular, just trying to test to see if it works. You hit that Q action, and then you're right back in the prime. Cool? All right, so let's actually build out some deliverables. I'm a clown, and I want to see the children I have scared. Sort of like a trophy. How can I do this? This is like basically one of those deliverables that we're thinking through. Find by clown. Right. So the idea here is like we have to first determine, right, what is the scope of this? Will this be a class or an instance method? Right, because it's instance dependent, right? So here, right, what we can do is we can determine how we want to write this method. Does anyone have an idea? Yeah, the name of the method. My portfolio. Remember what it's going to look like, right? You remember what it's going to look like. You have clown 1. Oops. Wow, I typed it out. Wow, I must have been feeling good. Clown 1 dot what to kind of see the kids that I scared, right? Yeah, I think something earlier was like my scares, right? That kind of made sense. So like clown1 dot my scares should return like an array of children that I have scared. It does sound really stupid. What's the logic on this, right? Can I go through all the kids? Should I go through all the scares right now?
Or you have to go through all the, you have to go kind of like through the nightmare visits in a way to get to the other end.
So the idea here is that, remember how we talked about this relationship, that the clowns only know, right, in this exact example earlier, will only know the scared kids through the nightmare. That's the only way they know them. So if that is the case, then I have to go through, first of all the nightmares, right? Like look through all the nightmares, right, to see which ones I did, right? I can't just do all the nightmares. It should only be the ones that I did. Like what nightmares did I cause? And then check those nightmares to see which one, like which kids are there, right? So look through all the nightmares, right? And then after that, check the nightmares that I caused, right? And look at the children in those nightmares, right? It just seems so real world examples. All right, great. So how do I go through all the nightmares, right? Whoops. What am I trying to do here? Am I trying to transform this data? Am I trying to just go through each one of them? Yeah, I'm going to use select, right? So select, boom, boom, right? Each one of these are going to be nightmare visits. Okay, okay. Got it. And what about the nightmare visits? What about the nightmare visits am I really looking at? Right. So dot clown to see which one is mine, right? And I can do me. Oh, just kidding, self. Right? That's basically what we were doing. What does this return? Okay, so I can see nightmares. My nightmares, right? My nightmares is equal to this array. Hey, Brandon. Just squirrels, nests, and trees as usual. It's no big. So I have all of my squirrels. I have my nightmares, right? And the ones that the one that I have caused. So with that, what do I need to kind of do with that now?
Count them. Is it the children?
Right, I want to see the children that I've scared, right? So by returning a number, is that satisfying the deliverable, right? I want to see the children. So I have all my nightmares, right? And if we're really not sure, this is a really good time to test. So I think a few students had walked up to the table and been like, hey, what's like a good way to test? Let's go through this. This is the instance method, and I want to pause it inside the instance method. And I want to actually run through, get all my seed data, pause it, then take one of the clowns and call the instance method, and then see kind of like where I'm at here for the next steps. So, okay, I can't use this. I'm going to go back. Now I have clown1, and clown1 now has access to this brand new instance method. So if I do dot my scares, I can see that I'm somewhere in this method now, right? That highlighting is really aggressive, I'm sorry. If I'm doing that, what do I want to check? Yeah, I want to check my nightmares, right? Is it what I think it is? So it comes back with an array of 1, and we can always double check that information, right? I've ran that against which clown? Clown 1. So if I look through here, I see the clown, I see the clown, I see the clown, I see the clown, I see the clown. Oh, looks like clown 1 should only realistically have 1 scare. And so inside my array, I only have 1. Right? But let's think through. Does any one of these have more than 1? Or maybe 0? Clown 2. Clown 2 has a lot. So I'm just going to get out of here. And then do clown 2 dot my scares. I'm going to call that method again. And I should see how many in the my nightmares. And there they are. So far, this method is doing what I think it's doing, right? That's how I've successfully tested it. Now, the deliverable is asking, right, what are the children? So, inside each of the nightmares, what do I have access to? What 2 things are in each of these nightmares? Right, both the clown and the child. Well, I already know who the clown is, right? It's me. We figured that out. I really need to see just all the children. So I'm going to go through this array again, this sort of selected array, and I need to look at just the children. Which iterator, which enumerable is going to take an array of objects and then give me back just sort of children? Which enumerable do we know about can transform that data? Map, right? Map will do that. So if I go through my nightmares and I do a map on it, and I take each one of these nightmares, I'm going to run enter. For each nightmare, what do I want out of it? The child, right? So I'm going to just do scared child. And then undefined method. Oh, I forgot the do. Ugh, embarrassing. I always forget the do. That's like often. So night dot scared child end. And now I get back just those scared child objects. I did that sort of transformation. I took in all the nightmare objects and I returned in a 1-for-1 transformation the scared child. Now, realistically speaking, right, if you're building this application and you give back the user that's looking at it 3 scared child objects, is that a good user experience? No. What should they see instead? The name, right? So let's try that one more time. I'm going to go through the nightmares.map, night.scared child. That's the object. And inside the scared child object, it has what? Name. So if I end, now I have the array of just the children that I've scared. This is what I'm looking for. So I'm just going to do this. It's going to copy this. It's fine. Oop. Great. Whoops. Whoa. Dang it. Now I have to edit that recording because I don't actually know what it showed. I had Slack up for half a second, so in theory you can I'm not gonna give you an idea. So my nightmares.map, which is what we decided to use, do for each of the nightmares. What did we do? We went through the scared child, specifically asking each of those scared child for their name. And now if I wanted to test again, I can move the binding pry on top, on the bottom, or even outside to see what does this return, right? So this is going to be children, and that's it. And then if I wanted to, I can just return children, right? But we know that in theory, this is sort of the last line. I don't even have to do this if I don't want to. It should return this. So without all the bindings, I'm just going to run it and see what comes up. So I'm going to get out of here. Ruby, I've clown1.myscares, and I get Shaggy, if I do clown 2, I get those, then clown 3, and then clown 4, which is fine because if we look at our seed data, that matches up, right? This is working in the way that I want it to work. So now I've established this relationship between a clown, a nightmare, and a scared child. And because I have access to all of them, I can sort of like create some test data in this one combo file, and now I can just meet any deliverable that comes up. So without actually building all the deliverables, I'm just gonna name a couple of things, and just by a show of hands, who feels comfortable thinking through this exact same process that we used, creating your own methods, right? You don't have to think through the code entirely, but sort of like a hands up, like a quick flash thumbs up, like I should be able to do that.
Now here, yeah. Alone against.
It's just,
It's probably going to be doable.
it's the logic, right? It's the thought process. You hear me talk it out loud. What are the questions that I'm asking, right? If you ask those same questions, right? They're very leading on purpose because that's what you're asking, right? You're like, all right, what do I need to do here? I need to go through all the nightmares, right? That makes sense. So in the nightmares, what do I need from it? And then that's how you start determining. So for example, we have one on clown, and that's okay for this deliverable. What about the scared child? If I were to do something like, for my scared child, I want to be able to know,
Number of teeth of all the clowns who scared you.
wow, that's intense. Yeah, sure. Right, like the number of teeth, oh my God, sure. Total number of teeth of all the clowns that scared me, right? That was intense. Without sort of thinking even through as a group the logic, just by a quick thumbs up, thumbs down, do you feel like you should be able to solve this? Like I can basically figure this out. That's kind of where I want to go. I'm going to write the logic, the pseudocode, and then I will let you all go. So the first thing is class instance. We can do this. Nah, let's just go with the right thing. Thumbs up, right? This is definitely an instance method, right? Because it's about what? It's about the individual. And then after having done this, we basically figure out the method name. And then we need to go through what info do I need to sort of like sort through, right? Which iterator makes the most sense for what I'm trying to do? And then lastly, is the return value meeting the deliverable, right? If it's asking for a total number and I give it back 8 clown objects, is that the right thing? Probably not, right? And so this is just kind of like the process. Yeah? Ooh, what about a spicy one? So for clown, right? What about the clown that scared the most children? This one's spicy. Quick thumbs up, thumbs down. Can I do this? This one's a little iffy, right? This one I would say is a very stretch goal, and I'd like you to at least think through and try to attempt it. All right? If anyone has any questions, honestly, we'll be here to help. But that's really sort of like many-to-many in a nutshell, right? That it has a has many and has it belongs to. There is a join table, and then this is essentially the process. All right? Cool. That's all I have for you today. Thank you.